Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, we sit down with Brenda Perez and William Dirks from Centro Del Pueblo to talk about the hateful vandalism that over the past year has plagued their community garden in Arcata. Also, a new group of RC car enthusiasts are fundraising to build a track in the city of Eureka. We'll show you how to help. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. It's a quirk of human nature that adversity can sometimes be the engine of growth and leadership. One of our guests tonight, Brenda Perez, is one perfect example of this phenomenon. The first time I spoke with Brenda, we discussed new immigration policies that were then being developed and deployed by the Trump administration. A number of immigrants who had lived here nearly their whole lives were at risk of being sent to unfamiliar countries, and the DACA program, or Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, was being shut down. She and her organization, Centro Del Pueblo, were instrumental in organizing local resistance to those efforts and in supporting those immigrants who were impacted. Later on, we spoke with her on the similarities between the recent treatment of immigrants from Latin America and how we historically treated the Chinese right here in Humboldt County. Tonight, we have her here again, this time to talk about yet another injustice that she now has to fight: the repeated desecration of Centro Del Pueblo's sanctuary garden in Arcata. Adversity makes good leaders, and Brenda Perez has repeatedly shown that when the world gets brutal, as it often does, showing strength and resolve are the two most effective ways of gaining and keeping respect. Brenda will be joined by William Dirks, manager of the Sanctuary Garden for Centro Del Pueblo, after this short break.
Friends and supporters of KEET TV, we are calling all who have a passion for public television on the North Coast. KEET is looking for a diverse group of people to join its Community Advisory Board, or CAB. CAB members play an advising role to management and act as KEET's ambassadors within the community. Meetings are held quarterly on Zoom. Go to KEET.org, find the link for CAB, and get involved today. We look forward to meeting you.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us here.
Appreciate you coming in, although I wish it were under different circumstances. It pains me to report this story. I've seen the garden, and it's beautiful, and I think it represents a sentiment that is important to protect, and its abuse is a crime, no less. So let's start with you, Brenda. First of all, can you describe for us what Centro Del Pueblo is? I don't say it very well. Centro Del Pueblo. I have a really terrible American accent, but can you describe for us what it is and what kind of work it does?
Yes, Centro del Pueblo, it's a movement that happened to be organized into a non-profit organization. It's led by Latinx, by immigrants, by indigenous peoples from the South, and we are all organized for our human rights. Our immigrant rights are human rights.
And so how many members do you serve in Humboldt County? Is there a membership that you count, or?
Well, we have served during the pandemic over 700 people. Our little team right now, it's 10 people, and we are from Redwood to McKinleyville serving community.
Okay, and how are you guys supported?
Different ways. During earthquake, for example, we were distributing information in Spanish, but also economic resources. Everything that has to do with Know Your Rights in Spanish is done by Centro. Different cultural dances and revitalization of what is our languages are done by Centro. And the Sanctuary Gardens is one for food sovereignty. In case of scarcity, Sanctuary Gardens are there for serve this community.
Okay. Now, so William, you're the garden manager or the program manager for the garden? Is that a better way to put it?
Yeah, I'm the program manager for all the sanctuary gardens we have around Humboldt. We have a total of 5 right now, ranging from Arcata to Lolita, Fortuna.
How did that program start? I mean, what was the impetus?
Well, all the projects of Centro start from encuentros, which are like community meetings where people get together and they ask for, what do they need in their community? What can we do? And at the same time they ask these questions, we also provide solutions, like, well, how do we accomplish it? How do we make sure we have the foods that we're familiar with? And it's like, well, we need a garden. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how all the projects start, is community-based.
Okay. Now, the people who work the garden, are they members, or how does that work?
They are members. The main organizers are always Latinx. We are trying to help them to incorporate as something else, like as a leader, you know. And then the rest, the volunteers are different sources of different origins, but most of them are members of Centro.
Yeah. Now, so as food sovereignty or supplying things that come from where they're from, so they're more familiar, is that right? People can plant, like find a plot to plant something that they're familiar with that they'd like to see and grow it?
Well, in particular, the Arcata garden is more of a curated space where we have our garden master who passes on the traditional knowledge of growing and cultivating.
So people learn while they're doing this.
And
Excellent.
so it's this intergenerational learning. It doesn't have plots per se. Our other gardens, in collaboration with other organizations, some of them have plots, some of them are mainly just focused on providing plants. You know, we will have small plants and we distribute them to community members all over Humboldt, anybody that wants to grow. And so that way it makes it so people that live in apartments also have an opportunity to have fresh food or herbs that they are familiar with.
How popular would you say this program is?
It's very popular, and unfortunately for good and bad, right? We have gardens that have been attacked, not only in Arcata, but for neighbors, for example, in Fortuna too.
So it's not just Arcata?
It's not just Arcata, unfortunately. So the good news for the gardens is that community members have food that they usually don't find here, herbs, seeds. But the bad news is that it represents for some people a sign of threat, and they feel like the most reaction of violence. I don't know.
I mean, well, let's get into that. So it's been going on for a year. Who discovered the first vandalism, and can you describe what that was like and how you felt during that process? William, you want to start with that?
Well, I think it was either myself or Brenda that discovered the first one. And it was heartbreaking to see it. It was somebody had taken our sign and they spray painted red and black USA, just spray painting the whole thing. And you know, that was the first one. We're like, well, okay, maybe it's just a vandalizer.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I ask is when did they determine that it was a hate crime and not just some kids being destructive?
Well, you know, after the first time they were on this, like, well, we don't really know, it could just be vandalism, but I believe it was the third time, once they started implementing things like locking the gate and chopping the corn down, it has a lot of heritage and tradition inside of that. It's a very important plant.
And how long does it take to grow something that tall before they?
Yeah. It was an entire
season.
Yeah.
So they eventually came to the conclusion that this is an individual or individuals that are expressing their extremist beliefs, be it right-wing extremism or neo-Nazism, whatever it is that they are feeling inside, in a way that's kind of stifling the rights of other people.
Absolutely.
You know, their First Amendment rights to express themselves, to be able to be free. And so they're saying, yeah, because it is an indigenous organization, a Latinx organization, that this is going to be considered a hate crime from now
on. So have you communicated with the members about this, and what is that conversation like? Have people expressed to you their feelings about this, and what are those feelings?
Well, of course, we are sad. That's the main feeling. And some of the members have stopped participating painfully out of fear. Because there are different people coming with babies, with elders, and they just don't feel safe anymore in Arcata Garden. So we are trying to rebuild that trust, that feeling of safety for having them back.
Now, so over the year, is the vandalism at other gardens, are they linked in time, or is it they just sort of hit and miss in different places depending on?
They're definitely different.
Okay.
I mean, the interaction in Fortuna was more, it kind of led into racial profiling and a breakdown of the relationship between the organization we were working with and the community members we were representing.
How's that? Can you explain a little bit?
I mean, it went from being an open garden and then a lot of rules coming in, requiring background checks and all sorts of invasive information.
To work at
a garden, and a lot of the community members just stopped feeling safe and feeling like, well, this isn't what we signed up for, so we should find somewhere else.
Yeah. Is that garden still operative in Fortuna, or?
That garden, I believe, is still operating in Fortuna. started a new relationship with Open Door, and we now have a great relationship with them at their site in Fortuna, and they have a nice little space for Centro Del Pueblo, some community members to grow that didn't feel comfortable at the other place.
So you mentioned safety, or fear of not being safe. Do you feel like this could be the harbinger of something more violent and dangerous from somebody if they're thinking along these lines, or are you pretty confident that it's going to stay with just material objects that are damaged?
Well, it is hard to predict, but I really think this can escalate. I mean, in only 1 week we have 2 attacks, and before that it's been every month, but now they are more often, and they are also invading my household, my personal space.
How's that?
So I'm a neighbor of the garden. So for accessing the garden, in the last attack they had to access my space, right, my backyard. And that's
so they're
really
near
threatening.
your home while you're asleep doing this.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. And now that's why we are also having an answer that is very direct in demanding the city for a reaction, for an answer, for actions.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that this has been heavily reported the last few weeks. There was an incident where you guys had placed cameras and motion detectors, and can you tell us what happened with those? Yeah,
they were stolen. And it's an investment as well. Our organization is not as big, and in fact, we always are thinking, okay, we need to invest more in the community, but now we are investing in technology for protecting a garden, and it's really damaging our finances, for saying less. Yeah.
Of course. One of the things that they do is they lock the gate. What kind of inconvenience does that present to your organization when the gate is locked?
I mean, in the beginning, it was a lot more difficult because they could just reach over and actually lock it quite easily. We've replaced the gate because the vandalizer broke it, and so we replaced it. And we put something to make it a little harder, but I mean, he's brought power tools, ladders, equipment to do this kind of thing. So it's obviously somebody that is thinking things through, and locking the gate is a really... It's hurtful, and it's not good. I mean,
I mean, absolutely,
I guess we have to use some power tools to cut the locks, or unscrew the brackets that he's putting on himself. And
have you heard anything at night when this is going on? Has there ever been a time when you've thought that you may have seen or heard something from your house?
No, but after the 2 attacks in the same week, we barely sleep because now we are taking care of the cameras and the sensors and the sounds. Yeah. So that's the impact we have been receiving from the attacks.
Yeah. So how have the Arcata police been in this situation? I mean, I understand that it's one crime and it's a property crime among other things, but this is a symbol of something much potentially larger and more dangerous. Do you feel like they've reacted strongly enough, or would you like to see more?
I definitely like to see more. I mean, they take almost a year to have the press release, a statement. They have 2 officers for the entire city. I mean, their capacity is limited. And also I seen them more proactive to investigate. But I do think they need to have a better, like guide training, investigation, more of a good answer to us. And I don't feel satisfied with the way they are doing. Lately, they've been parking cars with cameras outside the garden, and that is very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally agree. These are circumstances that we need, where we need that type of protection.
Yeah.
We expect that it's no longer, or daily life situation where police needs to take care of the garden 24 hours. But I don't know, I feel like they could do more for sure.
Yeah. Do you, if you could speak to these people, and just beam this signal right into their room, what would you say to them in terms of trying to get them to understand the damage they're doing?
Yeah, I like to tell them that there is a way back to what they are doing. There is types of justice, restorative justice systems. There is types of where we can communicate without hurting each other. There is ways where they can express what they are feeling, what's they hurting to them, without vandalized a public space or the sign of a community gathering. there is ways that they can understand our culture or different cultures without hurting them. Changes are happening, times are changing, and they need to understand that we are here to stay.
I think that's an important point. A lot of the racism that we've seen over the past 10 years especially is due to people being afraid for the future, and I think that that's a fear that's based in ignorance, honestly. Arcata is known for being sort of a culturally open for Humboldt County, and so it's a little bit surprising to see this in Arcata. Have you personally experienced any other forms of racism from folks around town, and did you see this coming?
Well, you know what? Arcata has always been for me a complex space, for saying less. It's the first sanctuary city for sure. In 2017, it changed the landscape for us as immigrants.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they haven't been that proactive in the space for declaring themselves a sanctuary space. And I think that they could do so much more. I haven't been able to fully enjoy, let's say, a farmer's market in Arcata, because there is always this type of sites or other attitudes that I think they can change if we do better. Arcata, it's been a sign also of people that don't want change. They protect the space, they protect their architecture, and that's a sign of something else, right? That's a sign that where they don't want to see brown people in the landscape.
Yeah,
maybe.
And flexibility, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
William, we have about a minute left, but what do you think is the best thing about the garden? What drives you to keep doing this work and to really focus on, this project?
Well, I think the volunteers are the best part. When you get people from all different cultures together, sharing, talking, laughing, I think that is for sure the best part of having a community garden is people get to share. You make friends with people you might not have never made friends with. You have interactions that you would never have, and you cherish these memories that you make. One thing I want to say is, after passing the sanctuary law here in Humboldt, which was really important, I think another important thing that comes with that is, after that is to make that a reality, not just a piece of paper, and to create inclusivity for all these different groups of people that want to be out in the open, that are valuable to our community, and to take that which was written into law and then make it a reality in our community. I think that's the most important part, because that law was voted in by the people, which means more people here want that than don't. So that's, I think, the most important thing is we all need to work for is to create that type of space.
We're out of time. That's a great place to end it. Thank you guys very much for coming in. And for anybody at home, if you see anything, say something, call the Arcata Police Department and let them know what you know. We'll be right back after this short break.
We have such a treasure in KEET TV. I think everybody should be a member. Think about all of the news programs, all of the mystery programs and masterpiece programs that are available to us here. I love them all. It's hard for me to decide what is my favorite program because there are so many. So please, become a member today. And thank you.
KEET contributor Ryan Hudson brings us an update today on the City of Eureka's ongoing efforts to address homelessness. This week she interviews Nezzy Wade from Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives, or AHA.
Following the City of Eureka's recent Dynamics of the Unhoused town hall, I sat down with Nezzy Wade, the president of a local nonprofit looking to develop meaningful housing alternative spaces in the community, Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives, otherwise known as AHA, to learn more about what creative solutions to Eureka's homelessness problem might look like.
And we've had 12 years in the shoot now, and it's been really challenging. time to try and figure out how we can change the circumstance. We don't have to accept homelessness. We don't have to accept that so many people have to live so rough and have to choose between, rent and a tent. If rent's too high, then we shouldn't take away their opportunity to have a tent. So the governor in March on the 16th had a press conference at Cal Expo and said, using our language from the last 12 years, saying we have to do these interim affordable alternatives because there's nothing between low-income housing and the streets. And low-income housing is not often eligible for people who don't have resources.
What is the idea to bridge that gap? Can you describe what that would look like?
Well, it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
You need a variety of things. And a triage camp would be a great opportunity for people who are suffering being outside and not being able to access the supports that they need. For folks with few resources, though, everything that has to happen if they're unhoused is in public, and we react very strongly to that. There needs to be structure. You can provide a place and let people live there, and probably they'll do a whole lot better and be less drain on the system than trying to move people about. But if we're trying to actually help people move in the direction of getting stability and becoming housed again, then there are other things that have to be in place. So they have to have access to case management, they have to have access to health care, they have to have access to a lot of things. But for most people, when they get into a situation of stability, a lot of what their issues are kind of fall away.
She explained that AHA would be interested in working with the city to create an interim housing solution to bridge the gap between the streets and existing shelter spaces, if that were possible.
But the issue is that people won't go to the shelter. So if you create it like the situation that they're not going to go to now, what is your assurance that they're going to go if you create another one? So I think that we really need to look at change. We really need to look at employing, and I don't mean that in the sense of employment, although it could,
Right.
the people that were assisting with creating their own circumstances and giving them an opportunity to inform us about what will work
To get them
for
involved in the
Yes.
process.
It seems to me that there are solutions, but then we haven't tried them. But there were and have been historically emergency shelter zones which would allow for these things to happen. But now it's trending towards, okay, well, you have to work with a private party because there's no public land available to do that. There's a lot of competition for land, and it's expensive. And it's expensive when you are going to something that's privatized, it's going to cost more. And so those were not costs that we thought we would have to absorb because we thought we could use emergency shelter zones that then we could lease through,
City
small-
property.
Yeah, but now we're to the place where if you get a private party, then they'll help you. But if you don't get a private party, you're not going to get to do it. So if you're a private party and you have land, or if you want to enter into some kind of an agreement where, a long-term lease for a low amount, a lease with an option to buy or outright sale, then support us in being able to get some of these amazing funds that are coming down at some point, or just help us and we will purchase property, or we will lease it and we will do a project that would make it possible for us to be able to demonstrate how things can work. There's lots of things that we could do rather than just let people be without any kind of support.
For Headline Humboldt, this is Ryan Hudson.
RC cars are remote control vehicles, and they allow adults to basically be a kid again through having fun with toys.
RC cars trended during COVID when locals searched for outdoor recreation activities. Enthusiasts are now fundraising to build a track.
The fundraiser is on July 9th at the Eureka Municipal Auditorium, and it will start at 10 and go till about 4. We will have racing for larger cars, small cars, drifting cars will have their own track. We are planning on having a car show to award a Best in Show. For anyone that shows up to the event and doesn't have a car, we have some cars that will be there to loan out. The fundraiser is trying to show the city that there is enough RC people in town that it would be something that would be used if they built a track. The track we're actually fundraising for is to be an outdoor track, dirt clay track. It would be important for the community to just have a place that we can go do this and not be told we can't or this isn't the right place. RC cars seem to be a multi-generational activity, young to old. The vibe is very chill. Everyone's having a good time.
RC enthusiasts hope the city can find grants to include a BMX track in a potential future park. As part of a partnership grant with WETA's new series Iconic America, we're highlighting a world-famous icon right here in Humboldt County, the Redwoods. Jim Campbell-Spickler of the Sequoia Park Zoo gives us a tour of the Redwood Skywalk.
The Redwood Skywalk is a self-guided tour into the Redwood canopy. You start out in the Sequoia Park Zoo, and this 1,100-foot walkway takes you 100 feet up into a redwood canopy. As a redwood forest canopy scientist, I spent the last 25 years exploring the crowns of these iconic trees, and what you see from this vantage is amazing. You see these complex crowns, but what you can't quite make out from this vantage is that there's a lot of wildlife habitat up there and such a diversity of life. From this vantage, we're looking at the top of a 120-foot tall redwood. This lighter color leaf is actually this year's new growth. And although redwood are evergreen, they do lose some leaves each year, and it's usually the older leaves in the back. But it's been really fun for myself and our visitors to come back every year and look at the growth that the tree puts on annually. So one of the reasons why coast redwood get to be so old is their resistance to fire and fungus. But if you look here, there is fire scarring on this tree, and if you look up, it goes way up there another 100 feet. The bark, it doesn't burn. It scorches, but the fire rolls through, consumes the fuels that are on the ground, but ultimately, the tree is left okay. It's fine. One of my favorite things is to get up here and just interact with the people and share my knowledge of the redwood forest and this skywalk itself.
Catch the next episode of Iconic America, Our Symbols and Stories with David Rubenstein on Tuesday, July 11th at 10 p.m. only on PBS. Stay tuned, stay informed.